Hello everyone, and welcome back. In this video I'm going to show you how I made a knife, specifically this Damascus kitchen knife. So please stick around and enjoy the video. So Damascus steel is steel that's made of many layers of two different contrasting kinds of steel. In this case 1095 and 15N20. One of these steels, 15N20, has nickel in it, which means that when we finish making the knife and we etch it in acid, the 1095 will turn black because of the acid, and the 15N20, due to its nickel content, will resist the acid, and you will be able to see a difference in the two steels, much like this. This is called a random pattern Damascus steel, which means I've just forged this to roughly 300 layers and left it at that. The marks you see are just from it being ground down, and then you can see the layers. You can also do something like this, which is twisted Damascus. So I forged the Damascus into a bar and then twisted it so you can see the layers going in a pattern like this. There are a lot of other patterns you can do, but these are the two simplest patterns, I think, to make. To start, we'll take the 1095 and the 15N20 and stack them in contrasting layers like this. Whichever steel you have in thicker pieces, you'll want that to be on the outside so that it can resist the scale. And we'll stack them up like this. Tack weld it with the welder and weld a handle onto it, and then forge it all together. Alright, so we have the billet welded together, and I have a piece of rebar attached to it as a handle. If you don't have a welder, what you can do is take a couple pieces of wire and just wrap the billet around and tie them off so that it holds it together until you forge weld it. And we'll just heat that up. So I've cleaned and etched part of this billet so you can see the layers. There are 21 layers, 7 times 3. And now what I'm going to do is cut in notches along the side so that I form the billet into kind of an S pattern, repeating S pattern, that I can then forge down into a solid bar that will have a squiggly line pattern in it. So you can see it's been rough ground now, and as you can see there's basically no evidence of it being forged out of Damascus steel. This is a good sign. When you can't see the weld lines after you've ground the steel down, it means your welds are most likely pretty solid. So what we can do just to see what kind of pattern we have is to take some ferric chloride, which I've put around here somewhere. This is a pretty strong acid, and just give the knife a quick etch in the acid. This will just give us an idea of what we're working with. Okay, so we have the knife all ground down to shape, and As you can see, there's my stamp in there. Focus, you stamp. And now the thing we need to do is heat treat it. So in order to heat treat it, we first need to heat it up to a non-magnetic temperature, a bright red heat, and then let it cool down slowly in the air so that it normalizes. Then we can quench it in vegetable oil. Okay, so now we'll just let it cool off. So here's the blade after hardening it in the oil, and you can test the hardness just by using a file, and you can kind of hear, but the file skates off the surface. It doesn't bite in like it would a soft piece of steel. So we know the blade is pretty hard. Now what we need to do is temper the blade, and this is 1095 steel mainly, so I'm going to do it at about 400 degrees Fahrenheit and temper it for a couple cycles of 1 hour in the oven. Okay, so here's our knife. We've tempered it in the oven, and I've just cleaned up the blade so you can see the shiny metal. And the entire knife is still pretty hard, but we want the spine of the knife to be rather soft so the knife is flexible and can bend without breaking. So the way I'm going to achieve that is by cooling the edge in this bucket of water here, and just tempering the back of the knife with the torch, just to make this part of the knife a bit softer while leaving this edge quite hard. Okay, now we're going to polish the knife, starting with about 400 grit and going up to about 1000 or 1500. Okay, so I've done about 3 etches for 10 minutes each, and now what we're going to do is take some 2000 grit sandpaper and just polish it and wash it off very well in water, and then we'll see how our etch is. Here it is after etching, and you can see the nice pattern in it and along the spine as well. I'd say that turned out pretty well. So now what we need to do is work on the handle. So I have some stainless steel bolsters, which I'm going to drill out and attach right there, and one on the other side as well, and then a wooden handle. Okay, so we have the bolsters all cleaned up, and what we're going to do is mix up some JB Weld and glue the bolsters onto the blade like so. Then we're going to stick the pins in and rivet them over on each side so that our knife is secure, so that the bolsters are secure and won't come off of the blade. Okay, so we have the knife ground down and polished, and it's a very comfortable shape. And this is stabilized wood I'm working with, which basically means the wood has been impregnated with plastic. So it should be pretty solid and pretty resistant to moisture. But just to give it an extra protection and to make the color of the wood pop a little bit, I'm going to seal it. And how I do this is I use finishing wax. Minwax is good. There are other brands. And just give it a good coat. Give it a good coat of wax, and then wipe it off, let it dry. Do that for several coats. Okay, here's our knife completed, and looks very good. And as you can see, the bolsters, the pins in the bolsters just completely disappeared due to peening that over, so that's very nice. Blends in very well. So just to recap, this is 21 layers of 15N20 and 1095 Damascus steel, 303 stainless bolsters and pins, and some stabilized Nargusta burl on the handle. Alright, well I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thanks a lot for watching.